Back again. This time we have owner of Premier Home Solutions out of Holt, Michigan. And you know him as the winner of the GMC truck 2023 in Minnesota Mall of America. Trevor Monroe.
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah. What's up?
Just another day in paradise.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You like I said, very well known for winning the truck. So let's just start there.
All right.
I was sitting right next to you at the table when you won it. And it was kind of funny because the backstory goes, the backstory is somewhat well known because it was in John's yearbook.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think on some videos too. But let's go back to it. So this was 2023, so it was a little over a year ago, and we were signed up, and I think you were an ambassador, right? Did you sign up for the ambassador program?
Yep.
So were you like 10 extra entries, I think it was, or
something
like that? Ready to go, but you had been battling some health issues.
Yep. Had epilepsy for a long time.
For a long time?
Yep. Since I was 15.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was just more recent.
Nope. Had it since I was 15, but it was pretty well controlled by medicine up until about a year ago. And then the seizures have started just coming fast and furious.
Oh, so you were getting, how often were you getting them, let's say 20 years ago?
Maybe once a year and a half.
Okay. And then before last summer, you were getting them how often?
3 to 4 weeks, every 3 to 4 weeks.
Wow.
So,
yeah, you and I were talking at the table and you were telling me all about that, but you guys almost didn't go.
Nope. We had our plane tickets purchased, and last stop was the doctor's. Next day we were flying out, and the doctor said probably wouldn't be a good idea to fly. Something to do with air pressure.
Oh, I was going to ask, like, what is it about the plane? Okay.
And my wife absolutely hates driving, and we left there. I was pretty upset, and she just said, yeah, Minnesota's only 11 hours away. Let's do it. Let's drive. I couldn't believe it. Still can't believe it, but that's what we did.
Well, and the thing is, too, is if your name was drawn and you weren't there, you wouldn't get it.
Correct.
Right? And it's kind of like the joke with Ken Wells, because he was like, John was like, hey, let's, because Ken couldn't make it either for some reason. And John's like, let's pull his name and make a joke out of it and see if, act like we pulled his name. And so, that's all right. So you if you weren't able to make it, you would have your name would have been drawn.
I would have been crying.
Yeah, that would have been.
You would have had me here crying right now.
So really, so that truck is kind of hers because. Oh boy, so I was sitting right next to you. Your name was pulled, and I was probably a couple beers in, and I was like, so happy for you. I jumped up, like, so happy. And then actually later on that night, someone who I never met saw me in the hallway, and he's like, man, I thought you won that truck. I don't know if I told you that or not.
No.
So you still got the truck?
Of course.
And Ron just got it, or you got it?
I'm back to not driving, still sitting in my driveway, but I don't know if you saw the picture. I got custom license plate, says TYSF.
Oh, I did see that. Yep. Yeah, I did see that.
So it's Thank You Spray Foam Worldwide.
Yeah.
So that's on there, but nope, I'm back to not driving for a while, so the miles will stay down on it.
We'll talk about that too. How many miles you got on the truck?
I think about 26,000.
Wow, not bad.
Dan Warcheski put half of them on there, driving it back from Minnesota. Shout out to Dan. He might have taken a little detour.
He didn't. I'll tell you that right now, because, him and I were actually talking about it on this podcast. He was hauling, he was hauling because he lives like another hour and a half at least, or you guys live about another hour and a half from me. And when I left, that truck was still at where it sat in that circle out front.
Yeah.
When I left, it was still there. When I got home, he had a post that was like 2 hours old saying, "Got home safe." And I'm like, dude, you must have been hauling, because I stopped for like maybe, 20 minutes because I stopped and said hi to some family. Anyway, there's no way he did that. But anyway, so let's go into Premier Home Solutions. How did that whole thing get started?
I had sold foam for about 10 years, never installed it, just sold it. One day, this crazy gal named Stacy Lickfelt, these two guys, really crazy guys, Mark and Joel Kettle, they said, "Hey, if you're bored, you should try spraying this stuff called foam. We'll sell it to you." I thought, I have nothing else to wreck my life. Let's try this.
Wait,
And
so
here we go.
you sold foam for them before?
No, I sold foam pretty much as just a sales company. Had another guy installing it. And then when I got into I needed an installer, I knew Stacy was in the business.
Oh.
We actually went to grade school together.
Yeah.
She's always colored outside the lines.
This is, for those of you who don't know, this is Stacy Recker. Who a lot of you do know.
Yeah. And so anyways, I got a hold of her. She introduced me to Mark and Joel. They sold me some equipment, trained me up, and that was where Premier Home Solutions was formed. So
I didn't know that they were that key into making your business.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'd probably welcome to Walmart if it wasn't for them.
There you go. But you guys do more than just foam.
Correct. I'm a licensed builder, so we do roofing, siding, windows, all of that. So
okay, nice. And so you grew up. You and I have a little bit of something in common. You grew up in a small town in northern Michigan that my wife grew up near. In fact, my mother-in-law taught at the school that you went to. At Brethren.
She taught at Brethren?
Up until like 3 or 4 years ago, she retired.
Oh, I didn't.
No, not when you were there. No.
Oh.
She taught for maybe 20 years.
Okay.
And she just retired.
Okay.
So you and I kind of figured that out.
Yeah, I remember.
Just by talking.
But again, remember if it was this past year, I think it was an open bar for a little while. So
what's that?
If we were talking this past year at Spray Foam Worldwide, it was an open bar for a while. So I don't know that a lot of people remembered.
So you and I almost did this podcast a few months ago.
Yeah, I think I was supposed to be guest 1 or 2, and you kicked me off.
Yeah, it was one of those early ones.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, you want to be on?" And you're like, "Yep." And I think I called you maybe a couple days. It was actually around the 4th of July. I remember it being around the 4th of July. So it was 4 months ago now. Over.
Yep.
And you were like, "Yep, let's do it. Sounds good." And then I said, "Are you driving now?" Or because obviously with your seizures, you kind of weren't driving, but you were like, "Yep, I'm good to drive. Haven't had a seizure in 6 months." And then I think it was like the day before we were going to do this, Rhonda and you were like, "I had a seizure last night." And I'm like, "Oh man," I felt really bad for you. I know that you felt really bad that you couldn't make it. And I'm like, "Dude, we can do this anytime. It's not a big deal."
Yeah, it was, I think, July 5th or July 6th.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep, it was right about then. So here we go again. The clock starts again. So
tell me a little more about like what's going on in your head, let's just say.
So basically, they're really not sure at this point. Obviously, I have epilepsy. Not sure why it's getting worse. It used to be very contained with medicine. I've spent a lot of time down at Ann Arbor. And tried a few different things, and, we'll hope and see that everything gets a little better. In the meantime, I come down here, hang out with you, spray some foam, and we'll see what goes on.
Yeah. Do you spray foam much?
No, it gets
No.
my clothes dirty.
You're gonna upset a lot of people listening to this.
No, really, I have probably the best lead man possible, and I can't beat him up, and he won't hand the gun over.
Oh,
So, he hides them on me. Like he won't give them up. Dan's a super good worker and a super good lead guy.
how nice.
And I'm pretty sure when he retires, he's going to want the, foam gun for a retirement present.
There you go. At
So,
least you know what to get them.
right. So,
It's funny though that you said it gets my clothes dirty. So today is Monday, November 17th. And I want to say this is 2 days ago. So for those of you like on Spray Foam Worldwide and now you're listening to this, you can go back and you can kind of think about maybe what I'm talking about. But I saw this guy, and maybe you did too. He was maybe it wasn't even Spray Foam Worldwide, it might have been a different one. But anyway, he was like posting a picture of himself with his brand new rig. And he was very proud of it, which is awesome.
heck yeah.
But he was like dressed in like white shorts and like nice. Don't get me wrong, the rig was brand new. It was brand new.
He must have just been picking it up if they were still
and
white.
It was. And he said, just picked up my new rig. And he's showing it off with all these pictures. And this guy, he's got his hair done. He's got a nice shirt, all his clothes are like really nice, like something you'd wear to a golf course.
Wow.
And
Was his name Mike Shong? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding you, Mike. I love you.
No, this guy was obviously brand new to the industry. And I think just probably everyone had the same thought as I did, as like, you're obviously a pretty boy. I don't know if this is the right job for you.
Right. Yeah, for sure. You still have those polo shirts that you got just a little piece of foam on that you can't bring yourself to throw away yet?
Yeah, I've got a lot of clothes that I can't. Like, it's not polos. It's like the warm winter stuff.
Yeah. My wife will like fold them up and put them away, and I'll wear them once and put them back on the hanger, and she'll say, "What is that?" And I'm like, "It's a good shirt. I got it at Spray Foam Worldwide 2022. She'll say it was free, and I'll say, "You know what the plane ticket was to get there?"
Yeah, right.
So,
anybody who's a friend of yours on Facebook, yours or Rhonda's, you guys are hilarious because she's always taking pictures of you and you're sleeping with your mouth open on a plane. Is it really true that you fall asleep like right away?
Well, not right away, but she works me like a dog. So yeah, when I can sleep, I have to sleep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you got to take advantage of the time you get.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she can't work you like a dog while you're sitting on a plane.
No, I'm not a big fan of traveling. Like, it's just boring. So if I'm flying out the night before, I'm probably up till 3:00 in the morning, so that's kind of just my thing, so yeah, if I sit down, I'm sleeping.
You got one of her not that long ago, I saw.
Yeah.
Oh, you taking heat for it, or does she just understand that like she does it too? And
definitely she didn't understand. So we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Reminds me, I've never done that to my wife, but one time I was we were probably married like maybe 2 years, and she's like, "I don't snore," and I'm like, "Yes, you do." She's like, "No, I don't snore," and I'm like, "Well, there's only one person here that can tell for sure if you actually snore or not, and that's me." So there was when there was a time where she was snoring, and I got my phone and I recorded it so she could hear it the next day. And I didn't mean anything bad by it. I was just like, "See, you snore." I played that to her, and I caught some hell.
Oh, I can imagine. I can
will
can
never
only
do that
imagine.
again. Wow. didn't know that was such a sore subject.
Oh, yeah. I could imagine. I wouldn't go down that road. The picture was enough, and that was the still.
I mean, Rhonda, if you're listening, I'm on Trevor's side. You started it. I love
Right.
you, but you still started it, I think.
Well, you know what they say, though. They start it, they finish it. Hell, they call halftime when it's ready. They win.
Speaking of halftime, how about them Lions? You're a big Lions fan.
A huge Lions fan. Excuse me, had season tickets up until this year.
Really?
Yep.
Like for how long?
Like the last 3 years. My business partner and I had them. We had four seats. They call you every year, and say, hey,
You want to renew?
You want to renew them? This is what they're renewing for. They usually give you a real good deal. They called me this year, said, hey, you want to renew your seats and you're going to get this really good deal, and this is how much it is. And
the price went way up, didn't it?
I said, yeah, I'm going to send my grandson to Harvard, so I'll pass on that. Yeah, the price was insane, but they deserve it.
So, well, that's true, but it's kind of shady because like you're one of the guys who sat in the stands when they were no good. Like you should be kind of like praised a little, like, hey, thanks for now that we're good, we're going to treat you well. I would think.
Well,
I mean, it's a business. I get it, but still.
That would also be, I don't know, 3/4 of the state of Michigan.
3/4. Well, right. But you had season tickets for 3 years. Like,
well, yeah. But,
everybody for season. If you had season tickets for even, I would say at least 2 years.
So, well, maybe you should get on the phone with the Fords.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah, state there. Just tell them how it is. Say, listen, this guy he won a brand new GMC. He's driving around in it. Listen, Sheila Ford,
yeah.
Give him some good seats.
Yeah, while I'm getting you to come to your senses about these tickets, let's talk about your cars for a little bit. Nah, never been a Ford guy, but that's anyway. So it must be hard though, watching them do this good, and you're like, dang it, I wish I could be there for these games.
There's a couple I wish I could go to, but that was another reason we didn't renew them, because when we started adding up the amount of money that of the games we didn't go to that we had given the tickets away, it started getting a little ridiculous.
It was expensive then.
Right.
So this year with the increase, you're like, okay, that's the final straw. There's no reason to even think about it this year.
Yep. And then you start feeling obligated, and our grandson plays football in Indiana on Sundays.
Oh.
And so then it was like, Hudson's got a game. We got to go down there. So, you're not going to miss the grandson's game to, watch the Lions. So.
Right. Of course. So you and Rhonda, you guys both were married before, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And then, so how many kids do you have with your first wife?
I have 2 kids.
And her?
She has 1.
Okay. And so how many grandkids do you have between the 3?
We just have 1.
Oh, really? Just the 1? Oh, that's why that kid's so spoiled. I get it.
He's not spoiled.
No, he's not spoiled. I can tell. I can tell on Facebook that
he's very spoiled. He was very much a grandpa's boy, but not anymore. Anything that happens in the house, it's grandpa's fault, and he'll even tell you. He'll ask me something and then say, "Never mind, I got to ask grandma." She never says.
Is that right?
She never says no. So, yep.
So is that grandkid from yours or hers?
That's from my daughter.
That's from yours. Okay.
I joke around and say her daughter because they talk every day, text every day, and then she will tell me, yeah, Jennifer's her name. Rhonda will say, yeah, Jen is doing this or that this weekend. And I'm like, you think she could tell me I'm her dad? Well, I just told you, and it's like, well, okay, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah. Well, the women know. The women know to speak to other women if they want to like actually get like information across.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's for sure.
So Rhonda will tell me, I already told you that when we're supposed to be somewhere or something. I'm like, listen, you just tell me where and when I show up. I don't care,
Exactly.
where we're going, how we're getting there.
But the thing is you got to say, but when you get your mind made up completely, like 100%, then tell me, because here's what they do sometimes is they're like, hey, maybe we should do this. And then you got that in your head. And then they're like, no, maybe we should do this. And so then the next thing is they're like, remember, we're going to do this. And you're like, well, you guys changed the plans like 6 times. I don't remember which one you stuck with.
Correct. So I've told her, I've gotten her to do one of two things: either buy the plane tickets first, because then I don't ask.
Then it's set in stone.
I just look at the Delta app, because then I know. I'm like, oh, don't forget, we're going on the 18th. We're going here. And then I look like a genius. Like, I know what's going on.
So she orders the tickets and then you just see it. It just pops up on your Delta app.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't do that, I guess.
Then I'm like, cool. Don't forget, we're going here on the 18th. I look like I was paying attention, and then we end up in Florida and I got like my winter coat on and she's like, listen, idiot. I'm like, oh, I got to sleep all the way here, right?
No, you guys go on a lot of vacations.
That's what everybody says, but
maybe it's because
I work on them though. I do a lot of work while we're there.
Yeah, sure you do.
So we were in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago.
I saw that.
I was working.
Yeah,
I was working.
How was Hawaii?
It was good.
While you were working.
Yeah, while I was working.
Yeah.
We went. If you've never been, we put it off a lot of times to go to Mexico and stuff. And
because of the.
Yep, and my mom really wanted to go to Hawaii. So we went to Hawaii. And we're actually planning on going back. Pearl Harbor.
Oh, yeah.
Was amazing. It just, I know you learn about it in history books and everything else, but until you're there, there's just a whole different feeling, and
really.
And to go there, I could go back there 3 days in a row. And then swimming with the sharks. Oh my goodness.
Swim with the sharks. Were you in a cage?
Yep.
Really?
I posted a little bit of it on my Facebook the other day, but yeah, we did the old jump in the cage and had the GoPro and
really?
Yep.
Is it like what kind of sharks?
There were like 10 and 12-foot sharks, some Galapagos sharks, quite a bit. There was probably 15, 20 sharks around us.
Wow. Any great whites?
No. So,
but still,
there would have been a great white fat guy getting out of that cage and into the boat. So, but no, it was really cool.
So you get on a boat and you ride out for a little ways, and what do they drop a bunch of red meat in the water and hope they come or what?
Nope. They actually they follow the track of like the fish that they eat. I forget the type of fish that they naturally eat.
Okay.
But they travel a very predictable pattern throughout the year.
Makes sense.
So they're able to follow that and set their cage out like a week before they get there.
Yeah.
And so, they just drop their cage, anchor it, and you pull up there with the boat and hop in there. And before you know it, here they come. You'll see their fish go by and sharks right behind it. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That is.
So
everybody that I've talked to, I've never been to Hawaii. Everybody that I talk to say it's fun, it's great, it's wonderful, but it's really expensive.
That was one of the reasons why we had never gone. We'd always gone other places, but we both left there, my mom and Rhonda, saying, wow, we only spent half of what we budgeted, because there was so many things, and we weren't on this like, hey, let's go see what we can do for free kind of thing. But so many things are at state parks where it was, like, hey, $5 to get in and go check out this waterfall and that kind of stuff.
There's cheap stuff to do. You just got to look for them.
Yeah. There just wasn't a lot of stuff that we were going to that was like, hey, it's $30 to get in and go do this. And that kind of stuff was an all day thing. So So yeah, it was relatively inexpensive once we were over there.
So what about Pearl Harbor? Because I've always kind of been my grandpa was a World War II vet. He was a Marine, and the movie obviously is great. Always been fascinated with that whole thing. Watched a lot of documentaries and whatnot.
Yep, same thing. So come from pretty big military family.
Oh, really?
Grandpa, World War II vet. So yeah, going there was just kind of interesting because there was so many. They have several smaller museums, and when you go into them, there's things that I guess you just really didn't think about, like how they probably could have rescued more people. But the other half had to go stand guard in case another attack came. Instead of everybody going into rescue mode, half had to go into rescue mode,
fight mode.
The other half had to go into defense mode kind of thing. And you just don't think about that stuff, and you're like, yeah, I guess that's very true. And you go see that wall and you just look at it, and every one of those names means something.
Absolutely.
And then it was pretty fascinating because at the bottom of the wall there's like 4 names, and so they just look out of place, and you're kind of, what is that? And then you start reading, and through modern technology, those 4 names they've been able to claim bodies, and through DNA figure out those bodies.
Like DNA is like only 20, 30, maybe 30, 40 years ago. Like,
right.
They didn't have DNA before that.
Correct. So they've been able to identify like 4 different bodies down there through DNA.
So they must have found some bones, and compared them with like offspring.
Right.
Something. And said,
somewhere.
That's your dad's bone.
So as they do this, they pull their names off from the wall and put it down in this lower area on the wall.
Add to it.
And they have this whole lower wall, and it has enough space, they said, for every one of the names on the upper wall, so they can fill it. Because their determination is someday. But it was just a lot of smaller things like that. Like I told somebody, you think you learned about Pearl Harbor until you go to Pearl Harbor, and then you're like, wow, this is crazy. This is there's so many different little things, that little nooks and crannies, and you walk into one area and you're like, this was an ice cream shop, like on the base, just things like that, So yeah, it was really fun being over there, but at the same time, it was very kind of enlightening, to kind of see how it happened, everything that happened. And it was really interesting.
I bet. Besides the Arizona, I mean, is there anything there that's like still fresh from 1941?
Not like, there's a couple of like missile bodies that they pulled off the floor.
Missile
like
bodies,
like the housings, if you will, that were dropped from the planes.
Like the shell.
Like the shell. There you go.
Okay.
That they pulled off from the floor. And, that was pretty interesting because, again, things you don't think about, where they were saying that, like the planes had to fly like 45 feet above the water to get an accurate shot.
That's low.
Yeah, because they didn't have the technology then.
45 feet is really
45
low.
Feet. Yeah. I mean, to me, that's skimming the bottom almost, but
talk about a kamikaze, right? Yeah, you're not going to live.
Exactly.
Flying that plane that low.
Yeah. It was just things like that you just don't think about in today's world. So.
All right. Maybe you can explain this. Maybe you can't, but I'm going to test you. See if you can.
Uh-oh.
I don't 100% completely understand. They say, Japan did this to get us into World War II because we were staying out of it. We were, the U.S. was like, World War II was happening in Europe with the Nazis and all the countries in Europe, and Russia was into it a little bit. I think Italy was Italy into it too? Well,
I think
maybe.
they were just kind of, yeah, I'm not aware.
But the U.S. was just kind of like, yeah, that's your war. We're staying out of it. So what is it about? Why would Japan bomb Pearl Harbor to get the United States? Maybe you know that. Maybe you don't.
I have no idea.
You don't either.
I have no
Okay.
idea.
Well, none of us know.
I am absolutely clueless.
Maybe we need like a World War II historian.
A history lesson. And I honestly, I'm not a history buff.
How about you, Todd? Do you know? Todd is our audience member. Trevor's brother.
Todd,
do you know? If you do get up here. He's thinking about it. I think he does.
I believe it was to end the sanctions that the U.S. put on Japan.
I don't understand that, though.
Me either.
Wait, the U.S. put sanctions on Japan.
Oh, so Japan bombed the U.S. is what you're thinking.
Wait, but why was the U.S. Okay, so what he's saying, because Todd doesn't have a microphone.
No.
He's saying that, what's he saying, Trevor?
I think what he's saying is the U.S. put sanctions on Japan because of the war.
Okay.
Because they weren't playing nice with everybody else.
But what was Japan doing? Why did they earn sanctions?
Hey, you're looking at the guy that said he didn't know, remember? I mean, come on. Get the bald guy up here with a brain. No, I'm trying to convince Todd right now that spraying foam is a good idea. So that way he can, become my operations manager.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
You're going to do it? Todd, get up here. Let's get a microphone.
I
sit next. Hey, take that chair and put it on this side of Trevor so you guys got that microphone between you.
Todd's got a huge HR background, and so I'm trying to in operations in other companies, and so I'm trying to convince him right now that spraying foam's the way to go. So, can you get by my fat butt?
I'm going to tell him that spraying foam's not the way to go. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, just running.
I'm just kidding. It's a great industry. It really is.
Running a company.
You just got to be careful.
Well, I would still be around.
Put that mic between the two so you can both talk.
I would still be around, just on more vacations. I could do more conferences.
Yeah, more vacations. You're going to get to the point where when people say you go on a lot of vacations, you're going to prove them right. All right, Todd, put that microphone up to your mouth and tell us more about these sanctions in Japan.
I'm trying to think back to
grade
history.
Look at that.
All right. Jamie just hooked up a mic, so they both got one.
Now we don't have to talk to each other, sit by each other.
Yeah.
So just thinking back to 8th grade history class, and I believe that is why.
But why did the U.S. put sanctions on Japan? What were they doing wrong?
Well, they had already were part of the war.
Oh, they were? Oh, maybe that's where I missed it.
That's kind of where we were staying out of it, but we, didn't agree. The U.S. didn't agree and threw the sanctions on. I'll have to.
It's really
I'll have to find my 8th grade history book and see what I can.
It makes sense. Yeah, for sure. It makes sense that one, it's retaliation. 2, it's hey, you're gonna eventually get into this war anyway. Let's damage your entire naval fleet, or a large portion of it, before you get in this war. So you're gonna be kind of handicapped.
But you're also talking history with the guy that historically got me grounded for 3 weeks repeatedly.
Oh, let's hear about that. 3 weeks.
Oh, no. Yeah. Listen, this podcast isn't long enough.
Probably isn't.
There's fires. There's you name it.
Fires.
Yeah. He was a very bad influence growing up.
We were very good.
Todd, you're younger than Trevor, right?
No.
Yes, you are, dude. Todd, you are my new favorite Todd.
There you go.
Todd's
Unite.
Really? He was born in like 1951.
No, he wasn't. My mom was born in 50, and she's a lot older.
Might be your dad. No, I'm kidding you.
It could be.
He was born in 71.
And you were born in
75.
That's right. I remember talking to you about that because I remember honestly, no offense, seriously, but I remember going, how is he only 6 years older than me?
Well, dude, I mean,
maybe I just feel young. So you guys are 4 years apart.
Yep.
How many siblings you have? Just the two of you, or you got more?
No, there's 3 more of us.
Really?
Yeah, my mom was crazy. And
what do you mean by crazy?
Well, and
kids?
to
have 5 kids.
5 kids.
Okay, well, I mean,
yeah. So in every aspect of the word, she was crazy. Love her to death. Very strong woman, but she was crazy.
Did she grow up there in Brethren?
No, she grew up in Fowlerville area.
Oh, okay.
And then when she decided the 5 kids were getting in too much trouble down here, she moved us up to Brethren because what are you going to get in trouble with up there?
Probably burning down a forest or something. It sounds like.
I think we tried that once. we have a younger brother to blame it on, though, and we did.
Yeah, there you go. You always got to have a. I'm the youngest one, so I'm the one who got all the trouble. Took all the trouble, took all the.
Oh yeah.
But I also got away with a lot more because
because you're the baby.
Because I'm the baby. Yeah. Like the first kid, the first 2 kids, whatever. Like, those parents are like serious. They want those kids to grow up like perfect, and then after a while, they're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
The kid's gonna be who he's gonna be, and there's not much I can do about it.
Give him his prison number and get it over with. I'm the second to the youngest, and all my siblings still to this day give me a bunch of crap because they swear I'm the baby. I must be the youngest somehow.
When you're second to youngest, that's pretty close.
Well, I know, but I'm not the youngest.
Yeah.
But yeah, am I mama's boy? Yeah, but if they were as cute as me, they might have got as much attention. I don't know. But,
Are you going to Daytona this year?
Yeah, I was actually just looking earlier to book my plane tickets. So for sure I'll be there.
I was thinking about that too. It's getting to be that time. I mean, it's early February.
Are they going to let you go? You got somebody new signing your paychecks, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I do.
So let me be podcast guy for a while. How do you like that?
You can. That's great.
All right. Awesome.
I don't mind it at all.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we were talking about Stacy Recker. I actually have her old job.
Right.
I mean, she went to UPC.
Yep.
And then another guy came in, Clint Knob.
Oh yeah.
He was there for I think it was maybe like 9 months or something like that. And then he went to Quadrant. And then they called me up and said, "Hey, wonder if you'd be interested." And I thought, you know what? Yeah, maybe it's time to get done spraying foam.
We met you in Vegas. You're a little crazy, and
so actually, that was the first time I met Joel.
Right?
Yeah, in Vegas was the first time I met Joel, and Mark wasn't. I didn't meet him till probably a few months later.
Well, you got to go to Florida to meet Mark.
Now, yeah, Mark's chilling now.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot. Honestly, I mean, it's kind of weird because there was a time where I'm like, I gotta figure. I mean, it was this year. There was a time this year that I'm like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. And I'm thinking like, I don't know if I have the skills to do something outside of this industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You get lost in it.
I mean, I don't have knowledge in a lot of other things. So, it's like, if I can stay in spray foam and not have to actually spray, I mean, the first thing you think of is like, I need to grow my company and get somebody else doing that. But I mean, I'm not really that good at that sort of thing. And I honestly don't want to try to be. Honestly, it's just not my thing. For a lot of people like you're really great at it. But
I don't know.
You are.
Somebody thinks I need to get up to 50 employees to grow from 28 to 50. And
is that this one or the wife?
No. The wife's working from home now, and eventually, hopefully by the end of next year, going to be retired. But,
okay.
Somebody's trying to get me to open the Toledo office and get up to 50. So
there's nothing wrong with growing a company, but you just got to be the right person for it. If you're good at it, if you're the right person, great, do it. I'm just not the right person.
Me either.
I take way too much pride in my work. I want all my foam to look really, really good. I want to make sure the customer's happy. I want to make sure I'm not screwing anything up. And the only way to really get that is to be at least on the job, if not doing the spraying myself. And when you get a big company, it's it's hard because you hire some people, you might think they're good, but they end up not being that good. And there's just so much of that stuff. And I did not want to deal with any of that. All I wanted to do is I was like, well, if I just spray it myself, I'll always do good work. I know the customer's happy because I talked to them.
Oh yeah.
And so they're I don't have to worry about anything. And I didn't have to worry about anything. Honestly, I never had to worry about a customer calling me back saying, I'm not happy or whatever, because I did a great job. But when I left, they were great. And I said, will you leave me a review on Google? And they're absolutely, even though they never do, even though they tell you they will. But I was just too involved. And I know a lot of other people that are very similar to me that are just so involved in it. It's
definitely a catch-22. If I didn't have Dan, I'll admit I burned through a lot of people to get to Dan. You would swear that Dan owns part of the company because of his pride. But yeah, I've talked to a couple of people that, they'll ask me, how do you go to the next step, because they get where they're like, I can't send somebody out to do my work because they don't take that pride in the work. Or if they get it done, I come back and my equipment's just thrown in the back of the trailer's shut and they've gone home.
And then it rains in the back.
So
I'm thinking the back of the truck.
Yeah. So all that happens. And like you said, so it's kind of which one you want to do. There's no wrong way. I always look at some of the real big dogs in the industry and I think I don't know how they did that. I just don't know. Without having multiple partners that can help them run it. I don't know how they could have 4 and 5 job sites going. So.
It really is like it's like, what kind of problems are you good at solving? And if you're good at solving these problems, you're better over here. If you're good at solving those problems, you're better over there. So I don't have any problem with anybody that is a larger operation who's doing 10 to 30 employees or more. Good for you. I'm just not cut out for that.
Right.
And unfortunately, because I know I could make a lot more money, but I'm just not. That's just not me. Unfortunately, So for the people that are cut out for that, great.
That's not always about the money, though. It's it's pride should be your number one thing.
Absolutely.
You can't. I always say you want to be able to see somebody admire and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Not have to, dodge a can of corn or something like that they're throwing at you.
That's true.
So that's a big thing. But yeah, like you said, stress is a big thing too. Running a big company, is a big thing. I always said it's no wonder that Joel's bald, because he worked a lot. Mark has a beautiful head of hair. It kind of tells you where that divide was.
Those two are completely different.
Oh my goodness!
And they're a great pair of brothers because they complement each other so well.
Unbelievable.
But they're completely different.
Unbelievable. I love them.
They're great guys.
I love them to death. And if you didn't, until you really get to know them, you think, how are these two ever in business together?
Yes.
Because you would think as soon as you walk out the door. When I first met them, I would be at their Chase Lake building and I would go in there, order something and walk out and think I was just like that parent that just grounded them and walked out their bedroom door. They're probably in there beating the hell out of each other right now.
So. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, we're talking about Mark and Joel Kettle, Foam Direct. So you might have a fishing lure that says Foam Direct on it, or a T-shirt or something if you got it, at the or a frisbee or something like that from one of the conventions or whatever. Bought out by SPI probably about a year and a half ago, and I work for. Well, I don't actually work for them. I work for SPI, but I work with them. So yeah, that's who we're talking about. Good guys.
Yep.
Man, what else you want to talk about? Anything that you were dying to talk about on this podcast when you were on your way here?
Nothing real specific. I wanted to make sure I gave a big shout out to Dan, like I said, for driving my truck.
Dan Warshevsky. Dan Warshevsky's number 03, podcast number 3.
Yep. I did watch that. And like I said, I remember after winning it, thinking, how am I going to get this home?
Yeah.
About midnight, my phone rang and he asked me the same question. He said, how are you going to get it home? So I'm going to find somebody, and have it shipped back. And he said, I'll drive back for you.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to toot my own horn here for a second and say that I'm the one that told him to. Did you know that?
Yeah, actually, I think I remember discussing that with him or you or something that you guys said.
Well, I think we were talking about it on his podcast too. We were just walking across. We were going to grab some food at Fridays, and said something about it. And he's like, "Yeah, I live like 5 minutes from Trevor." And I'm like, "Why don't you drive that truck home for him?" And he goes, thinks about it for a second. And he goes, "Yeah, I could." And I was like, "Well, call him up and do it, because otherwise he's got no way to get it home." I think he was really kind of like thinking, like hoping he could plan on, going home with his wife and kids. Well, and maybe not have to have his wife drive.
Well, that's what I was going to say, and as much as that was awesome of Dan.
Yeah.
His wife, wow, for her to say, yeah, load all the kids back in the minivan and
drive herself.
And I'll drive myself, so you can drive that.
That's true. She's an unsung hero.
Yeah. Oh, very much. So between, doing that and putting up with Dan, she's a hero.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Some fast questions. All right. First off, doesn't have to be fast. I mean,
okay.
You want to talk about it for a little bit. That's cool. What's the best concert you've ever been to?
I have to say one that I went to with Rhonda and not another girl, because otherwise I'm dead man. So I'd think about that. Who sang Vanilla Ice?
Are you serious? You've been to a Vanilla Ice concert?
We did the back to the 80s thing, I don't know, 10 years ago with some friends. It was a little crazy, but yeah, we did it.
Wow, that's a good one. That's probably the best answer yet. Because I don't know that many people that have been to a Vanilla Ice concert. I mean, honestly, though, he's a one-hit wonder. What do you do after,
You keep singing the same song over and over, and
you just keep.
Oh, singing. Does he? He just play. He sings it right. He sings 3 different versions of it.
Right. I couldn't even tell you another song he sings. I'd have to think about it, but. No, there is
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one.
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
He did a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the movie.
Yeah,
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. That's what it was.
But yeah, it was like a back to the 80s hymn and Salt and Pepper and just a bunch of the old school stuff. Made you want to, I don't know, get in your 5.0 and do your thing. Yeah. So
the 5.0. So we're kind of near Detroit. I always thought honestly, until recently, he goes, and of course we went to Daytona, right? Last year.
Yep.
Last year in 23. And we're going to go there again. And he goes, and I continue to A1A, and I swear it was Detroit Avenue. I always thought that's what it was. And our hotel was on A1A in Daytona.
Yep.
And I was talking to my wife about it, and she goes, "It's Beachfront Avenue." And I was like, "What?" So I looked it up. Sure enough, she was right. I just thought it was a Detroit Avenue in Florida. Well, that's not that weird.
When I leave here, I'm going to go look for A1 Avenue in Detroit.
No, I thought it was because he was talking about Florida, so I knew it was in Florida, but I just thought it was a Detroit Avenue that happened to be in Florida. That's not that weird. I'm like, But then it was like beachfront. I'm like, okay, that's way different than Detroit.
I hope you got GPS to get home.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. What's the worst job you ever had?
The worst job I ever had, geez, that's another tough one. Probably baling hay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
baling hay.
yeah.
Yeah, buddy. I've been doing some of that too.
Listen,
that's tough.
That's very tough. That's pretty close to child labor laws as you can get. So
you want to earn that steak. You want that steak in the fridge. You got to feed those cows.
Well, I baled hay one summer for a guy that he kept saying, "I'll pay you, I'll pay you, I'll pay you."
Oh, one of those.
Yeah, and finally, my stepdad, which I hate to even call him step because he raised me. He's my dad. Awesome guy. He's passed away, but awesome guy. So he comes home from work one day and he says, "You know, what's wrong with you?" I said, "Oh, so and so doesn't want to pay me." He says, "For all that hard work?" Yeah. He says, "Well, I'll be right back. How much does he owe you?" So I tell him how much he owes me, and he comes back and probably 30 minutes later, and I said, "Well, what happened?" And he says, here's the money he owes you. I said, "Oh, I don't know how you got that." And he said, "Here, he gave you a tip too," and gave me an extra $50.
Shook him down.
Yeah, he wasn't going to let one,
No.
and yeah, he was crazy too, because to come in and take on 5 kids, none of them his own, and raise us like his own. He wasn't going to let that happen.
I mean, I've got young kids, and it's like I'm at the point now. My son's 9; he's almost 10, and like one of the biggest things for me is like I need to teach this kid how to work, because kids today have it so easy. They have no incentive to work, and I'm like, obviously, you're going to be a loser if you don't learn how to work.
Yep.
And so in that situation, even back then, if you do all that hard work and then you let this guy down the road, like ruin your motivation to work because he doesn't want to pay you. No, I wouldn't let that fly either.
Well, my brother and I used to tell everybody, like, my dad would work 60 hours a week and he would come home and he wouldn't even come in the house. You'd hear the lawn being mowed and you'd just go, "Oh no," because he wasn't going to come in and yell at you, but you didn't ask for any kind of money that weekend, because he would always say, "There's a lawnmower in the garage. You could see the grass needed to be mowed. Your boss is only going to ask you to show you how to do something once, and then you have to use common sense."
You passed up the opportunity, right? Because he cut the grass for you.
Yep, he just cut the grass. Sorry, and dude. Then you knew you were out. You weren't getting a promotion. You weren't getting a raise. You weren't getting anything. You were, that was it. But when you mentioned your son, that's where Rhonda came in. Both our boys are about 8 months apart. So for their 16th birthday, they both got cars, and they got them probably 4 months before their birthday. And they get parked in the driveway and they're all excited. And Rhonda says to them, "Well, you turn 16 and you get to use your birthday presents for 90 days. And then they get parked if you don't have a job."
There you go.
And I'm like, "Whoa, you're kind of mean."
Days. No, that's good.
And both of them said, "Well, no problem. We'll go work for Dad." Without missing a beat, she said, "No, you have to go get a real boss."
So did they do it?
They worked at McDonald's for a year and a half.
There you go. Good job, Rhonda.
So,
I take it back what I said earlier. What did I say earlier?
About how you didn't like her. And
no, I didn't say that. I said I got your back on, what was it? Oh, it was the
picture taken.
It was the picture taken. Yeah, take it back. Good job, Rhonda. All right. Let's see. One more. If you could travel time, would you go to the future or the past, and who would you try to meet?
I would definitely go to the past, and I would want to meet my grandpa when he was younger. And I would want to meet my grandpa.
Is this the World War II grandpa?
Yeah.
Oh man,
those
are the best.
I would want to meet him in his early 20s.
What was he doing back then? Like anything in particular? Grew up on a farm? Grew up on
well,
a coal miner.
he grew up on a farm, but and then into the military. His side of the family was real big into horse racing.
Really?
Yeah, my mom's side of the family, they have some members in the Hall of Fame. From
the Horse
that,
Racing Hall of Fame.
yeah, I have. I guess they'd be my great uncles, but my grandpa was just one of those guys that he could fix anything, pretty much do anything. Um, the only downfall I think he ever had was he was a medic in the Army.
Mine was too.
Oh,
no, that's not true. Mine was a radio guy. Anyway.
Okay. So yeah, he was a medic in the Army, and so that was many, many years ago. And right up until he passed, I don't think he felt medicine had progressed any, because you could get a sliver and he would say, bring that over here. And he'd use 1950 technology to get that sliver out. But yeah, he was just somehow, some way, he was going to weld something together with two sticks. You know what I mean? He could just make it happen. So definitely my grandpa.
How old was he when you died? Well, how old were you when he died?
I was probably about 30.
Oh, okay. So you got to know him pretty good, even in your adult years.
Oh yeah, we moved up north because he had retired and moved up north. My grandpa and grandma had retired and moved up to Calava, which is right next to Brethren there.
Yeah.
Home of the famous bottle house.
Yep.
Is that what it's called? I know those like
the bottle house.
The only thing I know about Calava is like those cabooses that are sitting out in someone's backyard or something.
Oh yeah.
Yep. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
That's Calava, right?
Yeah.
So, but he moved up there. So, we moved up there, a couple of years behind him. And, that was the only reason we moved up there, was because he was up there. But Todd and I actually just took a trip down memory lane and drove out through Fowlerville, Cahocta area, by where my mom grew up, the house she grew up in, and all that kind of stuff. Cool. Just because of that. And it was just interesting. Pretty deep roots there in Fowlerville. Both my parents graduated there. We went and got our hair cut in Fowlerville there, and talking to the barber there, and he was like, hey, your grandpa used to live right behind us, which we knew. And he used to cut my dad's hair, which was kind of interesting and stuff like that. But just kind of interesting to go back to that stuff.
The barbers know everything, don't they?
Yeah.
They
oh
do.
my goodness.
I mean, they know everything, because how many other people in town get everybody's ear?
Right.
Not like literally, but you get someone's ear for like 30 minutes, every twice.
Yep.
30 minutes? You go to a salon or what?
Well, whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's
well, some of us have hair to cut.
Oh boy. Oh man, that was a knot. Probably not 30 minutes. 20 minutes.
I thought you were getting a
I cut my own
something.
hair. I cut my own hair. Really.
Oh,
I've been doing that for a few years now. I had some really terrible haircuts. I mean, bad. Like, you go to I never went to the town barber, really. I mean, but in the last 10, 12 years, I went to some bad ones. I mean like super cuts or like great clips or great sport clips or whatever. I go to those because they're convenient. It's like,
right.
You know what? I'm out and about. Like, I need a haircut. Let's just quick, go on my phone or whatever and set up an appointment. I run in there, and you get someone who's literally cut like 100 heads in their life. And it was just bad. Around like the bottom of the back of your neck, like where they say, do you want it rounded or squared? And you're like, and some people have a choice. And I'm like, just follow the natural line.
Yeah. Whatever.
Whether that's partly rounded and partly squared or fully rounded, or just find that natural line and just buzzer. And they would make a whole new line, and it would be like 2 inches up from where the thick hair starts. And you don't know about it, because sometimes they know they've screwed up. So they're like, when they show you the mirror in the mirror, they show you the back by using the mirror on the mirror. And they're like, what do you think? And you're like, yeah, it looks good. But if they screw up, they won't show you that part. So then like they'll aim the mirror kind of up so you can't really see it. And then you get home and you're like, whoa. I got home a few times and a couple, yeah. And I mean, there was one time I was like, I think I screwed this up. When my wife looks at it and she's laughing so hard. And I'm like, holy crap. So then I, of course, look at it some more. And finally I said, I'm just going to figure out how to cut my own hair. It takes more time. It takes, because you spend more, but you don't have to book the, you don't have to book it and then go in and then wait and then get your hair cut and then come home, so you spend like that full hour and a half or whatever just in the bathroom doing it all yourself. But one, that doesn't cost you any money, which is nice. And two, if you've done it a few times, you get good at it. Then after a while, it's like, I'll never go back to those people. But
hey, real quick, I saw a couple things. I saw that podcast that John did.
Takeover.
The takeover. That was awesome.
that was awesome. Yeah.
And then to get back to what you were just talking about, I do have to ask a favor of John and Bill. I don't want them to kick you out of Spray Foam Worldwide because you just.
I hope not.
Well, you just sat here and talked about your haircut for 20 minutes, so I am a little worried about.
You think they're going to kick me out of Spray Foam Worldwide for getting a bad haircut?
Well, maybe complaining about it that long, they might not be impressed.
Maybe. That was a long complaint, wasn't it?
Well, I'm just saying they might cast you off to the side for that one.
Maybe. That's possible. Don't kick me out, please. All right. Well, hey, Trevor, it's been awesome sitting here. Thanks for coming down, and thanks for coming back, even though we couldn't do it the last time. Todd, it was really nice meeting you.
You too, Todd.
And I hope you guys figure something out to where you can.
Oh, you'll be seeing them again.
And then Todd's going to be working. Trevor's going to be on vacation all the time.
No.
And Rhonda's going to be posting pictures of you sleeping on a plane with your mouth open like almost every day. So anyway, all right. Well, we'll get going. Until next time. Goodbye.